Today has been a super duper busy day. Got up at 7 a.m., had to prep for my showings for my clients, and then went out to do those showings, came back home, and had to leave to Sacramento right away for some family stuff. And now I'm finally back from Sac, and it is 10:15 p.m. But I still need to get my video out because there's no way that I am breaking my YouTube streak. So here is a conversation between me and my good buddy Eyocase, at least from my vantage point, because we had a conversation the other day. He told me to record the conversation so that he can make a video out of it. So here is a short snippet of what we talked about. For me, sleep is, it's a pretty important thing. Because, I exercise so much that if I don't get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I'm completely crushed. But, as Gary Vee says, and you probably heard this, it's not about how many hours of sleep that you get. It's about what you do during the time that you're awake, right? Because even if you get 5 hours of sleep, but then you're only working 10 hours, like really giving effort for 10 hours, you're wasting the other 9, right? But then if I sleep for 8, but I'm grinding for 14, I'm gonna net more than you in the long run. So for me, that's more what it's about, and it's that balancing act, So obviously, I have a lot of Gary Vee influence, and then for me, it's speed in the micro and patience in the macro. So like daily, you got to be. For me, this is my mindset on it. Like I have to be go go go. I have to do a lot of things, juggle a lot of things, making sure that I put in the work, but then I also have a realization that this is a long-term battle or game, right? Because I have to do it day by day, but I'm not going to get there in a week or 2 weeks. I have to wait 3 to 6 months to see any meaningful type of gain, right? Or like even a year, 2 years, 5 years. And I relate this back to fitness because that's how I started my journey of personal growth. Is day by day you're going to show up to the gym, and then you got to eat well, you got to make sure everything's in line and your body's like in tune with everything. And the important thing is you got to keep showing up, but it's you have to wait it took me 9 months to get in shape, right? It doesn't happen overnight. So having the realization of I got to go hard every day, but that has to be stretched out over a good span of time for you to see any type of results. And I also think, I sound like Gary Vee again, but it's self-awareness. And it's the funny thing is that I've always been a huge Gary Vee fan, and you listen to his words, and over the years I'm like, I understand, and I thought I understood, but then one day it just clicks, and you're like, dude, self-awareness, this is what he was talking about. This is exactly what he meant. Right? So once that self-awareness factor like clicked in my mind, it's like, okay, how can I formulate my day, or how can I go about my life grinding, but also knowing who I am and what my body needs, plus my mind needs for mental health. How do I balance that all? Right? So for me, it's not about, going back to your original question, it's not about how much sleep that you're not getting. It's about maximizing your day, but also knowing myself. So for me, I know I can go hard for about 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days in a row, I can go pretty hard, weekends included, of just like work mode, of going out, training, working my body, everything. But then on that, 7th to 10th day, I have to take a half-day break. So usually that comes in the form of a UFC fight on Saturday. So on Saturdays, at like 5 p.m., I tend to not do much, right? So I tend to just watch UFC, but then the next day I get back on it. So I have those half-day breaks where it's not like, I think there's it might be, when people outside looking in, they're like, oh, you're always grind. It's like, yes and no, because I know when I personally need to take breaks. So for you, it might be different. It might be, hey, I can work, because what's the use of working 5 days in a row and then you're completely out of it for 3 days? So your net is 5 days, but you're losing 3. Whereas if you can go hard for 4 and then take a break for 1 and then do that 4-1 cycle, or it doesn't even need to be days. It could be hours, right? So like I can go hard for 6 hours, then I take a 30-minute break and then go hard for 6 hours. It's better than going hard for 10 hours and then be completely crushed and it bleeds into the next day, right? So it's kind of a little bit of experimentation at least for me. I've had to experiment with what works in terms of when I need to take certain breaks, right? And the good news for me, at least, is that I like a lot of my breaks are physical fitness. So it's like it's me getting after it, but it's also a just what is that? Like it helps calm me and helps it's a stress reliever, right? So it's like, oh, I'm gonna do some pull-ups. Oh, I'm gonna go run 10 miles. That's my stress reliever, but also me putting in work at the same time. So I luckily have a lot of overlap in that area of how to de-stress and then also exercise. So not sure if that answered your question. It was just kind of like